الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. عن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه أنه خرج يوما إلى مسجد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فوجد معاذ بن جبل رضي الله عنه قاعدا عند قبر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يبكي، فقال: ما يبكيك؟ قال: يبكيني شيء سمعته من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول: إن يسير الرياء شرك، وإن من عادى لله وليا فقد بارز الله بالمحاربة. إن الله يحب الأبرار الأتقياء الأخفياء الذين إذا غابوا لم يفتقدوا، وإذا حضروا لم يدعوا ولم يعرفوا، قلوبهم مصابيح الهدى يخرجون من كل غبراء مظلمة، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. رواه ابن ماجه. Continuing our dars of hadith from the book of Muntakhab Ahadith, in the chapter of Ikhlas Niyyah, sincerity of intention, under the subchapter of the condemnation of Riya. The hadith number 36. This hadith is from Ibn Majah, one of the Sahih Sitta, the six most authentic books of hadith. Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu, he narrates that one day he went to the Masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and there he found Sayyidina Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiyallahu anhu standing by the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he was weeping. Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu asked him, "Why are you weeping?" Sayyidina Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiyallahu anhu, he responded, "There is something that I heard from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that is making me weep. I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam saying, Inna yasir al-riya shirk, even a little bit of showing off is shirk, it's a major sin. Wa inna man aada lillahi waliyan faqad bariz Allah bil muharaba. And whosoever has enmity with a friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then such a person has gone forth to wage war with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna Allah yuhibbul abrar al-atqiya al-akhfiya. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves the righteous, al-atqiya, those that are muttaqi, that fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and therefore refrain from sin and disobedience. Al-akhfiya, those that are hidden, they're not famous. They keep a low profile, a simple lifestyle. الَّذِينَ إِذَا غَابُوا لَمْ يُفْتَقَدُوا. They are those when they're missed, when they're absent, they're not sought out. وَإِذَا حَضَرُوا, and whenever they are present somewhere, لَمْ يُدَعُوا وَلَمْ يُعْرَفُوا. They're not called on or recognized. They try to live a simple, average life. قُلُوبُهُمْ مَصَابِيحُ الْهُدَى. Their hearts are lamps and lanterns of guidance. يَخْرُجُونَ مِنْ كُلِّ غَبْرَاءَ مُظْلِمًا. With that lamp and light of guidance, they're taken out of the storms of darknesses. أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. This hadith is in Ibn Majah. We were in the discussion regarding the second statement of this hadith, وَإِنَّ مَنْ عَادَى لِلَّهِ وَلِيًّا فَقَدْ بَارَزَ اللَّهَ بِالْمُحَارَبَةِ. Whosoever has enmity with a friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then such a person has gone forth to wage war with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And regarding the sifat al-awliya, the qualities of the friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in this hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam very clearly pointed out, Inna Allah yuhibbul abrar al-atqiya al-akhfiya. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves al-abrar, those that are righteous. And righteousness, again, coming from iman, those that have very strong iman and perform righteous deeds. Al-atqiya, they are those that have taqwa, the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And with that fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they refrain from the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-akhfiya, they are those that are hidden. They're not trying to attract attention or trying to become famous or trying to make people impressed. We were going over the aspect of taqwa, the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this dunya, in this world, we as human beings are being tested in this world. This life is a test. This life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, it is an amana, it is a trust, and it is also a test. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has created death and life in order that He may test you which amongst you is the best in their deeds and actions. In this dunya, in this world, there is the ghurur or deception of this dunya, and it comes in three forms. You have the ghurur of dunya itself. This worldly life, it is a deception. وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. The life of this world is nothing but a deception. We went over that briefly. The second is the deception of shaitan, who is an open enemy to us. إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًّا. Indeed, shaitan is an enemy to you, so take him as your enemy. Inna shaytana lakum aduwwun mubin. Indeed, shaitan is an open, very clear enemy for you. And we went over some of the particular attacks of shaitan, the waswas of shaitan, the hamazat of the shayateen, and also the khutuwat of shaitan, the footsteps that shaitan leaves, his whispers and his ideas and thoughts that he puts in our minds as far as hatred is concerned. Various kinds of thoughts and doubts that shaitan places inside the heart and in the chest of the human being. For that, we have to seek protection and refuge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from shaitan. The best way is to recite ta'awudh, saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I seek the refuge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from shaitan, who is despised. Al-Rajim is a term that is used for those that used to be stoned. In the past, there were those that were criminals, and even amongst the criminals, there were some crimes that someone would commit. That crime was so despicable that the person was punished, and part of the capital punishment was that they were stoned to death. And there are some criminals that are very, very despicable. They commit such crimes. So those were that type of criminal, that they were so despised in society that they were to be put to death, and not just put to death, but in the most humiliating way, by being stoned to death. Those are known as al-rajim, those that are discarded, those that are despised, the most extreme form of being despised. Shaitan is also one of those that are extremely despised. So that is al-rajim. So we seek the refuge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from shaitan, who is despised and disgraced. The next element of ghurur, which is also very, very powerful, if it is not tamed and it is not controlled, is the human being himself. He has, every single human being, within us we have a nafs. And this nafs, it has various qualities. And the major three, if you take all of the qualities of the nafs, you can basically categorize them into three major qualities. One of those qualities, again, the three major qualities, is the nafsul lawama, nafsul mutma'inna, and nafsul ammara. And these are the names of the qualities of the nafs. One quality of the nafs is nafsul mutma'inna, where a soul is seeking perpetual happiness and satisfaction. Nafsul mutma'inna, everyone is seeking the itminan of life. Everyone is seeking that bliss, that happiness, that perpetual happiness in life. That is one quality of the nafs. And in the pursuit of that, we'll come back to how these nafs are intertwined, but we can be misguided in thinking that itminan and happiness in life may lie in certain material things of this world. That is the deception of this world. So that is why people will seek out the pursuit of dunya. People will seek out a certain pursuit of this world in the hope that that will give them perpetual bliss and happiness. Sometimes they'll waste their whole life in trying to find that, but they're on the wrong route. The second nafs is the second quality of nafs, another unique quality, is nafsul ammara. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created in every single human being this unique desire to basically take advantage of this dunya and to use this world. For that, certain types of qualities were required. Otherwise, living in this world would have no benefit, or would have no value, or would have no sweetness. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it in every single human being, their very nature, this desire to pursue this world and to make this world a better place. And when I say, what I mean by pursuing this world is taking advantage of life itself. For that, there are necessities that have been placed around this human being. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made every single human being, made insan or mankind dependent on this dunya, dependent on this world. How many things we need for just our existence? We need air to breathe, we need good health, we need food and sustenance, we need water, we need shelter, so many things we need. We need eyesight, we need hearing, we need taste, we need all of these faculties. And how many other qualities and benefits and bounties and favors we need just for our existence. And that's on a very, very basic level. With these qualities, there comes certain desires as well. You can eat food to quench your hunger, or you can drink water to quench your thirst. But there's also this desire to eat better food. You can eat any food in the world. You can take anything, even rough food that may not even be cooked properly. It's enough to take care of your hunger. But there's this desire to want better food. For that, we have the various kinds of spices and the various kinds of dishes and recipes that are there. So that is one type of desire. There's the other desire where a person is seeking out satisfaction. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created inside the very innate nature of this human being to continue their existence. And this is inside the nature of all of creation. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created creation to be very temporary, very limited. They have a beginning, they have an end. They also have a system to carry on that creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us very clearly in the Quran, Allahu yabda'u al-khalqa thumma yu'idu. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He originated creation and then He repeated it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He originated the creation of even insan, human beings. Then He created a system where insan will continue their existence, where mankind will continue their existence just like the other creatures in this world. For that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created within this human being desires to also want to create or continue their existence further even after they leave this world. There are many, many hopes and dreams that are attached with that existence to have children and move on. For that, the desire sometimes can overwhelm a human being, and a human being can even lose control. That nafs, that eagerness, not only for existence, but that eagerness is generally many a times prone towards evil. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created limitations so that that nafs may be applied, but not applied in the animalistic sense. As human beings, insan, we were created to be better than the animals. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created a system for mankind that they may continue their existence, which is a very honorable system, the system of nikah, the system of marriage from the very first human being, or the very first couple. That was the very, very first relationship. And that is a very foundational relationship in any society. The relationship of husband and wife, spouse, marriage, nikah. That is a system that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created from the very beginning. But there is also a system that a person can go beyond the limits and seek to fulfill their desires in other ways. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made all of that haram. So this quality of the nafs is known as nafsul ammara. Inna nafsa la ammaratun bisu illa ma rahima rabbi. This nafsul ammara, it is prone to evil except by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the nature of this nafs is that it is like a fire. And the reality of fire is that the more you feed the fire, the more fuel you put in the fire, the larger that fire becomes. And a time comes where that fire gets out of control. No matter there, that fire will not be quenched, it will just continue to burn on and on. Also, if you want to maintain that fire at a certain extreme level, then you have to add material that is more extreme than what you have already put in it. Similarly, this desire, this nafsul ammara, shahawat, desire, hawa, the nature of it is that if it is not tamed, if it is not brought under control, it can become very wild and out of control. And that becomes very, very detrimental for the life of a human being. It can lead to many, many problems, many problems, emotional problems, psychological problems. Because what happens is that this shahwa, this desire, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put a certain amount when a person reaches maturity. They become baligh, they become mature. Then if it is tamed and it is controlled, then it does not require much to be fulfilled. But if a person does not control it and they allow it to grow and it becomes like a massive fire, then a person never finds satisfaction. That human being will go seeking out to become satisfied, they'll never be satisfied. And that becomes painful. And with that pain, other problems start. We know the case of someone who is hungry. And no matter what they eat, their hunger is not quenched. What is our condition when we become hungry? A time comes when a person is hungry and they eat a little bit. They have a certain amount they need to eat to become full so that the hunger is brought under control. But if the hunger is not brought under control and a person is hungry, a time comes where a person becomes so hungry that his emotions go out of control. And at that time, you give a person just a little bit, you don't quench their hunger, you give them a little bit, that they become even more hungry now. Because they were not given the appropriate amount to fill their hunger. Similarly, the desire, the shahwa, when the person is not able to satisfy it, so they become emotionally distraught. Emotional problems start. That can lead to psychological problems. And a person never finds happiness. He's never satisfied. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. This is the reality of the 21st century. That we find in the youth a very, very massive problem, and not just in the youth, now it is also in the adults. With the advancement of all this technology and access to the various platforms on the internet and other means, humanity has gone to such lengths that they've lost control of their nafs. They've lost control of their desires. They've become worse than animals. And humanity is now trying to seek out new ways to fulfill that desire. This is how people will resort to the actions of even Qawm Lut, because they think that you can find satisfaction in that. And in reality, it never becomes satisfied. That's why we have the beautiful deen of Islam. First and foremost, Islam teaches the importance of nikah, of marriage. Once a person is able and reaches the age of maturity and understanding. And if that is not possible, then Islam teaches us to fast. Fasting has a very, very profound impact on the shahwa, on the desires of a human being. That is why even in the month of Ramadan, after the first 1 or 2 weeks, a person's desire completely come under control. And it's very, very important that those who feel that they've lost control of their nafs, they should start fasting. That is the effect and impact that fasting has. It brings the nafs and desires under control. So this is nafsul ammara. And it can become very, very dangerous if a person does not tame it. There's also another nafs, nafsul lawwama. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even swears by nafsul lawwama in the Quran. And this is a quality of the nafs that it blames the person if a person ever goes beyond the limits. Anytime a human being, anytime we go beyond the limit in anything, any extreme, nafsul lawwama catches us and pulls us back, starts blaming, puts blame and other ideas in the heart and in the mind of a person, so that the person comes back to the middle way, balance. And it doesn't matter what extreme. It can be extreme in something very good, or it can be the extreme in something evil. But this is such an important quality that it keeps a person balanced. It brings a human being to the middle path. And that is what is required in human life. That's also why we have this beautiful deen of Islam. It is very, very balanced. It is a very balanced deen. That is why we're also a very middle ummah, ummatan wasata. We're a balanced ummah. We don't have any extreme on any side. In ibadah, you have certain ibadah that is obligatory. Taking care of that, and also the sunnah, very balanced life. It's not extreme. So this beautiful deen of Islam has given us a very, very balanced life. But anytime someone goes extreme in anything, nafsul lawwama starts blaming the person. These ideas come and thoughts come. Sometimes we think that there are those who are fulfilling their desires as if they're happy or they're enjoying life. In reality, they're just blaming themselves for how painful it becomes afterwards. So this is the reality of this dunya, this is the reality of this world, this is the reality of the effects of shaitan, and there's the reality of the effect of the nafs. To navigate through all of this, what is required is taqwa, fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will teach a person that when it comes to the beauty of this world, the glamour of this world, the deception of this dunya, the deception of this world, taqwa will keep a person on that which is allowed, what is halal. And it will save and protect the person from what is haram. And with that, keeping a person on halal, this will develop many, many beautiful qualities inside the life of a person. Such qualities that will be required for a person to be admitted into paradise, into Jannah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about this in many places in the Quran. In Surah Al Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ. It has been beautified for mankind, the love of their desires. مِنَ النِّسَاء, from women, وَالْبَنِينَ, and children, وَالْقَنَاطِيرِ الْمُقَنْطَرَةِ, from the having hoards and heaps and treasures, مِنَ الذَّهَبِ وَالْفِضَّةِ, of gold and silver, وَالْخَيْلِ الْمُسَوَّمَةِ وَالْأَنْعَامِ وَالْحَرْثِ, and having really nice horses and rides, and having cattle and farms. ذَلِكَ مَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا, having cattle and farms in the farmlands where people grow various types of vegetables and vegetations. ذَلِكَ مَتَاعُ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا, that is the means of the life of this world. It means to get through the life of this world. وَاللَّهُ عِنْدَهُ حُسْنُ الْمَآبِ, and what is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is much better and much more lasting. قُلْ O Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, tell them, أُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِخَيْرٍ مِّن ذَلِكُمْ, shall I not inform you of something that is much better than all of that? قُلْ أُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِخَيْرٍ مِّن ذَلِكُمْ لِلَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا, for those who have taqwa, for those who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and with that fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala they refrain from sin, and they refrain from the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لِلَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ, for those who have taqwa, fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with their Rabb there is jannatun, gardens, paradise, تَجْرِي مِن تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ, underneath rivers will be flowing. خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا, they'll dwell in this Jannah, in this paradise forever. وَأَزْوَاجٌ مُطَهَّرَةٌ, they'll have pure spouses. وَرِضْوَانٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ, and they'll have the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاللَّهُ بَصِيرٌ بِالْعِبَادِ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is always watchful over His servants. Which servants are those? الَّذِينَ, they are those, يَقُولُونَ, who make this dua, رَبَّنَا إِنَّنَا آمَنَّا, O our Rabb, O Allah, definitely we have believed. فَاغْفِرْ لَنَا ذُنُوبَنَا, you forgive our sins. وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ, and you save us from hellfire. And what are their qualities? الصَّابِرِينَ, they are those that are patient, consistent, steadfast on deen. الصَّابِرِينَ. وَالصَّادِقِينَ, they are those that are truthful, and they're very firm on their iman. وَالْقَانِتِينَ, they're those that are obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالْمُنْفِقِينَ, they are those that spend, do infaq fi sabilillah, they spend for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. الصابرين والصادقين والقانتين والمنفقين والمستغفرين بالأسحار, and they are those who seek the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the suhoor time, in the early morning time. So what beautiful qualities they have. And this is all stem from taqwa, that they're patient and steadfast because they fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're always truthful and also firm on the iman. Sadiqeen, have the quality of sidq. They're very truthful, and they have true and genuine iman, sincerity. Wal-qaniteen, they're very obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They always find ways to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they're happy with that obedience. They're not trying to find ways to commit sin. Wal-munfiqeen, they're those that spend for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They give sadaqah, they give charity. Wal-mustaghfireen bil-ashar, they're always seeking the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the early morning time, before suhoor, in the ashar time, even before fajr. They're very, very sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this element of taqwa, and these are the qualities that you'll find in the friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is also what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves. In this hadith, it is made very clear. Inna Allah yuhibbul abrar al-atqiya. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He loves al-abrar, those that are righteous. Al-atqiya, those that fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as a result of the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they refrain from sin. They give up sins only and only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for no other reason. Even all around them may be inviting them to the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They may have every avenue to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The only reason that they do not disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding and give all of us a tawfiq to practice His deen. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ.